Hello everyone, I'm James Milan. Welcome to this, the final Town Hall update of the 2023 calendar year. I am joined, as I have been for all the others since he took the position, by Jim Feeney, our town manager. And Jim, as ever, I'm going to shake your hand once again for making the trek over to the studio. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Today we want to talk about a number of things as usual. We have a couple of projects that the Fox Library is at the center of that we want to talk about. Then there's the upcoming town meeting in spring. It will be upon us before we know it, I'm sure. And the storm has left some serious cleanup efforts to be made, so we want to talk about those as well. But we're going to start by talking about the competitive interest rates for this year's borrowing that the town has just continued to get a AAA rating, which I know is the highest that you can get. But, you know, that might just all sound like gobbledygook to people. So tell us what it actually means.
Right. So as you mentioned, for a long time, we've been a AAA rated community. And as you noted, credit rating agencies have a varying scale of ratings, and that AAA is the highest attainable rating. So we were rated by Standard & Poor's, probably the biggest industry name in terms of credit rating agencies. And this December we were going out for a 30-year general obligation bond issuance for $18 million. And what that AAA rating does is essentially make our municipal debt more attractive to bond underwriters because of our, we have a very strong local economy, we have very solid financial management practices, policies, and recent performance. So our track record indicates that, an almost guaranteed ability to make payments when they're due. So in this issuance, Fidelity Capital Markets came in with the lowest average interest rate, around 3.69%, which obviously in today's economic climate is a very favorable interest rate to be locking in for 30 years. We say in the business, it's good to be AAA, you get cheap money, essentially. So, a favorable interest rate on an $18 million issuance will certainly save taxpayers money over that 30-year length of that obligation. So, those proceeds from the bond are going to go to fund a portion, ongoing construction at the high school project that, the debt had been authorized previously. Same thing for the DPW project. It's, to create more funds to close out the project as previously appropriated. We borrow it in a manner that matches the needed cash flow, so you don't borrow necessarily before you need the money, as well as various other capital improvement projects or equipment purchases as detailed in the town's capital improvement plan. So again, this is very good news for the community. It's really one of our, most outstanding financial accomplishments from year to year is just, having that AAA rating affirmed over and over again. It's really important to the community.
Yeah, and really appreciate, this is such a good thing about having these town hall updates is that you can really explain, as you just did, in a step-by-step way, what this means for the community, literally in concrete terms. So appreciate that.
Yeah, the best possible municipal bonds are in Arlington.
Yeah, that's great. And just like with all of us as individual creditors or people who are looking for credit, a better rating is going to get you better deals. So that's wonderful to know. So let's talk now about the annual town meeting. It's coming up. It won't be until springtime, but of course the warrant is going to close quite soon.
Sure. Yeah, it's amazing to be talking about annual town meeting. It feels like we're recapping the fall town meeting. But the 2024 annual town meeting warrant is already open. So the submission packet for warrant articles is available on the town's website, and all warrant articles should be submitted to the Office of the Select Board by 12 noon on January 26th. And again, as you noted, it'll be underway in late April.
Okay, so remember that date, January 26th. Let's talk then about the Fox Library, which we don't often talk about. It's obviously very important resource in town, highly valued by the community, but we just don't have a chance to talk about it all that often. Now, a couple of projects are centered on that building, so tell us about.
Well said. Not often talked about, but here we are with sort of two concurrent projects to update the community on it. We are, have a great collaboration going on between our library and planning and community development departments. So the first project I would outline is the Libraries for All, a New Future for the Fox. So this is a restart of the Reimagining Our Libraries campaign that had kicked off in 2017, but was ultimately sidetracked by the pandemic. So when talking about the Fox Branch Library, we would be remiss if we didn't note that it's obviously an aging facility with many deferred investments and a lot of needs, chief among them making the facility ADA accessible, which it is not. So as part of this process, we're going to apply for a Massachusetts Public Library Construction Program grant. And if awarded, that grant would provide the town 50% funding for all eligible costs associated with creating a new Fox Branch Library that is fully accessible and meets the diverse and ever-expanding interests of the larger community, but also specifically the East Arlington community. So the applications are not due until May, but from now throughout early 2024, the libraries and their partners will conduct several public engagement sessions, and there's also a survey open. The survey is available online, and the public input sessions will all be held in January. Two of which will be at the Fox Branch Library, one of which will be online via Zoom. So on January 11th at 7 p.m., there will be a session held in the Fox Branch Library, and then 2 days later, on Saturday, January 13th at 10 a.m., there will be an additional session held in person at the Fox Branch Library. And then the final public input session will be on Wednesday, January 17th at 7 p.m., and that will be done via Zoom. So obviously all residents, visitors, and particularly Fox patrons are encouraged to participate as they are able to do so. And as always, full details are found on the Robbins Library and town websites. Those are two different websites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also just want to mention that I had a chance last week to sit down with Anna Litton, the director of our libraries, and one of their Board of Trustees members to talk through this in even greater detail. So for folks interested in that, just look for Check It Out, our library series here at ACMi, and you can find that extended conversation. And then there's the feasibility. Let's talk about the one other project that's going on there. Very
Sure.
early stages, I understand.
So we refer to that as the 175 Mass Ave Fox Library Housing Feasibility Study. So, at any time you're considering, a potential renovation or rebuild of a public asset, you want to be creative and opportunistic. And one of the things we did was go ahead and seek funding from some outside entities to consider doing a feasibility study as to whether or not future housing could be considered above the Fox Branch Library. So we received a little over $77,000 from the state's Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities for a community planning grant related to this feasibility study. And that will be supplemented by a $15,000 technical assistance award from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, who will actually help perform and complete the feasibility analysis. So again, it's to look at the potential development of housing above the Fox Branch Library with an emphasis on affordable housing. So, the potential of using a public asset to create housing is something that's envisioned in several of the town's existing plans, including the master plan, the housing production plan, as well as the equity audit. But part of this study will look at what has been a growing number of precedent cases, both in Chicago, and I believe there's an ongoing project in Boston to do the same, to use public libraries on ground first floors, and then provide sort of the airspace above for housing. So that study will be kicking off soon, and we hope to wrap it up in the first quarter of 2024, and then with a report due sometime likely in early April. And when we have that in our possession, it's something we'll consider further, but also present to the public in a forum at that time. So this is obviously a very, even the thought is in its sort of infancy here, but we're glad to see significant outside support in the way of, nearly $90,000 from outside the community to even consider this possibility. So we're very excited.
Great. And I know that, it's blazing sunshine out there today in the last couple of days. It might push from some people's memories, I don't know, those crazy scenes from just a few days ago, earlier this week, as these major storms came through, and the winds and rain really wreaked havoc. So I think you've got some words for our public works and public safety personnel, who were, as always, huge in helping us get through that.
And you described it well. That was an intense, intense storm at certain periods of time. Sideways rain, really, really strong wind gusts. So, Arlington experienced a number of power outages, and our, public safety personnel were running all over town, closing roads, keeping people away from downed wires and other unsafe situations. So just wanted to offer kudos to them for doing an outstanding and professional job, as always, in responding to sort of, these types of emergencies, which seem to be happening more and more. And then again, with a storm like that comes a significant amount of work to clean up. And our public works personnel worked late into the night that day and throughout the following day, managing all the debris, the branches, the downed trees and limbs, getting that all cut up, cleaned up off the roadways, as well as, we had, it's funny, we had really just almost wrapped up street sweeping, and then you've got torrential rains carrying everything from yards and the woods back into the streets, and again, clogging our catch basins. So our public works crews were out managing that. But I mentioned catch basins. We have over 3,000 of them in the community, so it is really impossible for our crews to clean them all before, during, or even immediately after a storm event. So that's why we are always encouraging the community, if they can, to adopt a drain. It is a true help to the community. It really does reduce and minimize the impact of local flooding. So there is more information on our website. So, please do adopt a drain if you can. And again, remember, that is a year-round commitment that we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It even needs to happen in late December. So, kudos to our crews for working hard. And, as you drive around the community today, it's Thursday, but it almost, as you mentioned, it might be out of mind, and it's starting to look like it never even happened in a way. So that's due to the hard work of a lot of people.
Yeah, I have to tell you that by happenstance, I just helped a couple of business owners in the area clear the drains in front of their places in the middle of, or in a lull during the craziness. And clearly people just need to take a lot of responsibility as citizens and residents in town to be able to help, because as you've said, it's literally impossible for public officials to get it done.
It's even more challenging when they get blocked and the flood starts, of finding them to,
That's indeed
unplug them,
one of the
when
business
they're
owners,
underwater.
that I was working with indicated he'd even put a little indicator on a wall to be able to see where the drain might be. I also, last thing I will say, scenes I have never seen before, including our traffic light here in Arlington Heights at Mass Ave and Park Ave, major intersection of the Heights, and the traffic lights were doing things that I've just never seen before. So thank goodness that the police and then the DPW workers were here to really take care of things.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
And,
appreciate that.
thanks to ACMi for hosting me every few weeks and helping to spread the word about a lot of the good work that the town is doing. So I thank you folks for that.
Well, we are really happy to do so. Always happy to welcome you in and appreciate the fact that you are here. So happy holidays to you.
Thanks, and same to you.
And happy holidays to you as well. I am James Milan. I've been speaking with Jim Feeney. He is our town manager. We haven't missed anything, have we, Jim?
Nope.
All right, in that case, that'll wrap us up for this town hall update. We appreciate Jim's time. He always makes it to come in here and talk to us in the way that he did today. Always good for us, good for you. We appreciate your time as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time and next year.